Welcome to Treeleaf. Treeleaf is a Sangha, and the Sangha is a group of people, a group of practitioners who practice together. My message is for all the solo folks out there, the lone wolves, the people who feel that other people get in the way, that it's better not to have a group, not to have a teacher, and just to practice on their own. Well, good for you, but is it good for everybody? You see, our way is not to be Pratyekabuddha, a lone wolf Buddha. My Sanskrit pronunciation is okay. Pratyekabuddha. We are the Bodhisattva path. And the Bodhisattva path practices not for our own good, but for the good of others, who, by the way, are just who we are. If you think that this is about what you need, what you want, what's good for you, staring into your own navel, and you are missing an important part of this path, an important vow, a duty, an obligation to support the community, to uphold the Sangha, to be part and participate, whether you want to or not. What you want is the problem. What the you always wants is the problem. And sometimes in this path, we must practice not what I want, what I selfishly want, but for the benefit of all, to uphold each other. You have an obligation to join into a group, into a community, to support others, to teach others. A community of Zen practitioners is much like a tent held up by poles. Each one of us are the pillars that hold up the community. You are one of those. If one person leaves because they feel that it's not for them, it's in the way, it's too much bother, then the roof sags just a little bit. Someone else might have to step in and take your role to hold it all up. Yes, there are times in this practice when we all get away. Buddhist practice traditionally has been for a time of coming together in the Sangha, in the monastery, or in the community, practicing in the rainy season all together, and then hitting the road jack, going out on one's own, maybe into the mountains for a time, to build your own grass hut, to live like a hermit, to live under a bridge. That's fine. There are times for that. It's a little bit like being in a family. You know, I'm a father of 2 kids. I have a wife. I can't just walk away, even though sometimes I'd like to just hit the road and do what I want, do what's good for me. I hold up the family. I hold up the community. Sure, I've got my man cave in the house. You probably have your space too, where for a time I get away, I sit there, sitting my zazen in the corner, or doing my personal time. That's important too. Bodhidharma had his Bodhidharma cave. You can have your man cave, or whatever private place there is. There are times to go off into the mountains, to live like a hermit. But the basic part of this practice is to come back, to join in, to support others, to not be the Pratyekabuddha, not be the lone wolf, but to walk the Bodhisattva path. Some people say they don't need a teacher. That's fine. A teacher, as far as I'm concerned, is just a coach, because people who say they don't need a teacher, well, they might be right. Or, what I've often experienced is people who feel they don't need to listen to anyone's advice and coaching, tend to spin off in all kinds of crazy directions, convince themselves of all kinds of wild things. You have to watch for that too. There is a time to kill the Buddha. There's also a time to listen to what the Buddha has to say. There is a time when one does not need a teacher any more than the teacher in one's own heart, or the teacher in the wind, the sound of the birds. There is a time to listen and live what an experience individual might have to say about the right way to go about all this. It's all important. So please, don't be a selfish, what's in it for me? What am I getting out of this practice? Pratyekabuddha, support the community. Sometimes even in our Treeleaf Sangha, I wish more people would turn out for activities. Sometimes they may find it inconvenient to join in a group sitting. They'd rather sit in the corner of their own room, not bothered by anyone. Sometimes they don't want to turn out for our public service activities, our charitable work. They'd rather just do it on their own, or maybe not do anything at all. But there's a time, even if you are engaged in charitable activities as an individual, there's a time to get together as a group. Why? Because groups support each other. Shall we say, the power in the room when people are sitting together is somehow inspiring to the other people there. Many times someone might want to quit or run away, but because they see all the other people are sticking with it, are supporting each other, they keep through. This is especially true at times of, well, retreat, when one can sit in individual retreat. But sometimes it's very important to lean on the shoulders of our brothers and sisters to get us through. Anyway, I've said enough. Please don't be selfish in your Buddhist practice. That's kind of a strange thing to say, isn't it? Selfish Buddhist practice. Please don't be a Pratyekabuddha. Shall we sit with that together?